Hi guys, it's Kelly here, and I am back with a video for Color Throwdown, and I'm going to be using Happy Everything by Clearly Besotted and the Love Showers Layers die from W+9. Say that 3 times fast. And I'm going to be doing some watercoloring with my distress inks. So I cut this tag out of watercolor paper. I use the Canson Aquarelle 140 pound, which I recently just learned is not artist grade. It's actually student grade. So anyway, I'm inking up my stamp in Salty Ocean, just the leaf portion of it, and then I'm just going to go in and clean up any areas that are going to be the pink petals that I might have gotten some blue on. So I'm going to add the pink, and then I will stamp it off one time so I have a very light impression. Distress inks, if you stamp them full strength, can be very, very difficult to blend out. So I'm just going to pounce that down one time, and then I'm going to stamp it on my tag using the 2nd generation stamping. And it's difficult for you to see, I know, but I can see it fairly well. So the way that I do my watercoloring, I usually smush down my ink, so I'm using Chip Sapphire, and then I have a number 2 round brush from the Artist Loft. Somebody had asked about that, what kind of brush I use. And I lay down clean, clear water, and I make sure to touch all of the edges. I like hard and soft lines when I do my watercoloring. It gives a lot of interest. So there are some areas where I will actually go outside of the line with clean, clear water. Because when you add your pigment, it will bloom to wherever the water is. So it will just give, I guess, a more interesting edge. What I ended up doing, because this takes a long time, like if you ever sit down and watercolor an image, you know it's very, very time consuming. And I didn't imagine that you would want to sit here for 400 years with me while you're getting old and gray, waiting for me to finish watercoloring this flower. So I time-lapsed it. But I never actually used this image before, which is really pathetic because I've owned it for about a year, and probably over a year. Oh my gosh, isn't that just sad? It's terrible, the things that we buy and then we never use them. But I had recently done a video for my Casing Genius series, and the featured genius was Deborah James. And she had used this image in one of her cards, and I was like, you know what? I totally own that, and I should probably use it because it's a beautiful image. So, again, I'm just going in and adding more clean, clear water. You want to make sure that you don't work next to 2 areas that are wet. These areas dry fairly quickly because they're so small, but how I prefer to add my color is I'll lay down my base color and then I'll let it dry a little bit, not all the way, but then while it's still fairly damp, I will go in and add even more pigment, more shading. And that way it blends out naturally. You don't have to worry about getting any hard lines within the image. And you can just keep doing that, until you get the desired look. So when I was doing this, I had gotten the colors, and the colors for Color Throwdown are pink, dark blue, and black. And I wanted to use this flower image, but I was like, dude, do you think they'll let me put some green in there? So I was talking on the phone to my friend Dawn, and I had asked her, do you think that they will, in fact, let me put some green in there? Or do you think that's like a violation of the rules? And she goes, why don't you just do the leaves in navy? I was like, what? In navy? And she was like, oh yeah, I do it all the time. And I was like, no, do you paint like leaves that are like they have a blue hue to them? And she was like, no, I straight stamp them in nautical navy. So I told her fine, I would try it, and then if it came out ugly, it was entirely her fault. It didn't come out ugly at all. Like, that girl knows what she's talking about, because I would never have done them in navy myself because it's just not, I guess, a natural look or a traditional look, but I'm really glad I did because I love the way they came out. And like I was saying before, how I like to leave that soft edge, like the actual full leaves that are connected to the stems came out beautiful. I loved the way that they looked. I add clean, clear water like I'm doing right now, and then I kind of like take the water out so it's past the edge. Then I'll only add pigment to just one side of it and let it bloom out, into the white. And they came out beautiful. I love them. So for my flower, I used picked raspberry. That's what I stamped in, and it's also what I'm going to be doing the shading with. But since it's such a bright color, it's hard to get a whole lot of depth. So what I ended up doing was for my shadow colors, I didn't want to use a straight purple. So I used picked raspberry and a little bit of the chipped sapphire, and that's how I added my darkest shadows. I didn't really know, you gotta play around and have fun with this stuff, because I didn't really know how it was going to turn out. I'm glad I did it though, because I think it came out super pretty. So with my petals, when I'm doing them, I lay down a base of clear water, but then I only add my pigment where I want it to be the darkest. So like you'll see me do this large section here. So here goes down the clear water and all the way up to the edges. And that's why you cannot work in two areas that are next to each other, because then they'll run together and your whole image will just be mush. You won't have any delineated lines. So where I want my shading to be the darkest, I'm going to go in and add my pink. And then from there, I'll start to add in, that mid-tone. And then finally, just the straight chipped sapphire. And they'll blend together and work together really well. And you can just keep building that up and adding as much or as little as you like. And here I'm even going back to some of the other images to add in just some more shading. I didn't feel like it was dark enough. And so yeah, that's pretty much it for the watercoloring. I mean, I just continually did the same thing over and over and over again, which is why I time-lapsed it, so you wouldn't have to be born out of your skull. This is hysterical. Okay, so after I did I finished the tag, and then, which you're gonna see, but after I finished the tag, my camera literally fell on my face. Like, I'm not even kidding you. It just dropped right out of the freaking sky. And it knocked over my cup of water all over my desk. So thank God I had already put the tag underneath some books to flatten out, because it was like disaster transport in there for sure. I should have left it in. It was hysterical. Thankfully, my camera is okay though, because I would have been really sad about that. I wouldn't know what I would have done. So here I'm just going back in and picking up some of the chipped sapphire and adding in just some lines to my darkest shadows. And then that's pretty much the tag. So I did heat set just the last little bit so I could get on with my life. It takes forever to dry. Here I'm using the sentiment is from that same set. The same set. Enunciation is important. And I'm using the actual name of the set is Happy Everything, and that's the sentiment that I chose. I decided to use my Misty to do my stamping because your paper can get a little wonky even when you're doing any kind of watercoloring. And here you'll see I'm cleaning up that what is that? Plastic piece? The plastic piece. Oh my God, the plastic piece, because my tag was a little bit wonky and I was worried about getting black ink on my image. So make sure you pay attention to whether or not there's ink on that door. I'm using some black and white twine from the Twinery, and here I'm just messing around with it, seeing what I'm going to do. I'm going to add some fun foam to the back of the tag. And I don't like when my twine strings are just all cattywampus all over the place, flying free. So I'm going to go ahead and just tack them down so that it tucks underneath my tag, and then I don't have to worry about it moving anywhere. Here, this is where now the water has been dumped on there, and I didn't have any other paper. This is Watermelon Sensation and Whirly Pop from Basil, and I didn't have any more, so I had to save it. I heat dried it. I ran it through my Cuttlebug a couple of times. while I was running it through my Cuttlebug, I got some sort of schmutz on the blue paper. So I'm using some W+9 shimmer spray to go ahead and cover that up. See, everything's salvageable, folks. We can fix it all, because this card was just bound and determined to be the end of me. So that I'm just going to tack the twine in place there. And I think it turned out fine. I mean, even though I had some waterlogged paper and some schmutz on it, it turned out just a-okay. So after that was done, the only thing I did do, I had to adjust where I put my tag. I had originally intended on putting it in the center. I had to put it in the bottom left to really flatten that out. I'm adding some clear sequins from Pretty Pink Posh, which I cannot make a card without. And yeah, that's pretty much the card. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.